here we are again, ready to do a fantastic painting together. I thought today we'd do something that's very soft and deep in the woods and a very warm little painting. So very quickly here, I'm going to have them flash the colors across the screen, so in case you didn't get them on the first show, you'll know all the colors that we're using here. And this is a fantastic little painting. It's very soft, very quiet, and it's like you're walking into the woods. So let's do it. I'm going to start out with a little bit of phthalo blue, just a tiny bit, and put a little bit of Van Dyke brown with it, just to dull it a little. And let's start right up here. And we'll start with our little X patterns, little crisscross strokes. And we'll put a happy little sky in here. There. And just let this pick up the magic white, and as you work down, it gets lighter and lighter in value. Okay. And we'll just blend that right out, like so. Isn't that fantastic that you can make a sky that quick? All right. Now then, without washing the brush, I'm going to go right into some Van Dyke brown, some burnt umber, and a little bit of sap green. Just mix them on the brush. Let them mix on the brush. And let's figure out where we'd like to have some beautiful little trees and stuff here. Just push, bend the bristles. And all we're looking for here is basically what we're doing is the back of the tree. And then we'll put the trunks and limbs in, and that'll be the middle of the tree, then we'll do the front of the tree, okay? And maybe there's one that lives right here. Just let your imagination sort of go crazy here and think about where you would want a tree. This is your creation. There we go. Maybe over in here we'll have some big things happening, big trees. And you're really pushing this paint into the canvas. And leave some of these little airy spots open. Don't cover the whole canvas. When the picture's finished, you can see a little bit of sky through there. Okay. Now, right up in here, I want it to be quite dark. I'm going to add just a tiny amount of Prussian blue, just to darken this. There we go. I want to create some deep shadows in there. Okay, maybe a little touch over here. All right. Okay. Now, let's take the fan brush here and make some trunks. I'm going to use a little bit of Van Dyke brown. And one side of the fan brush, I'm just going to touch it to a little tiny bit of white. So it's only on one side. Now, just pull this down. And we'll make some little trunks back here. Van Dyke brown, little touch of white. There. You probably have to reload your fan brush after each stroke. You just want this to look like little tree trunks that are way back in the distance. Maybe there's another one that lives right there. But by adding that little touch of white on there, you can put a little highlight on there at the same time you're putting your trunks in. It all happens automatically. Okay, now. We've got a lot of little limbs to do in this painting, so I think I'll cheat just a little bit here. And we'll take and just make a lot of little limbs here. Maybe there's some up here in this little tree. There we go. Maybe there's some over here in these, just here and there. Okay, now with a large brush, and I'm still using the same dirty brush, I'm going to go right into a little bit of the magic white to make a little thinner paint, and right into some yellow. And load a lot of paint into the bristles. And we'll take a little bit of the sap green. Load a lot of paint into the bristles. Really fill them up. And we'll begin applying some happy little leaves out here. And we're just going to touch. Just let these little leaves jump off the brush. There we go. Look at there. All those little son-of-a-guns. Now, if you have trouble getting the paint to stick, add a little more of the magic white. Remember, a thin paint will stick to a thick paint. There we are. We'll just put little leaves everywhere out here. And the dark just becomes the shadow. Maybe right in here, a few. Now here's another happy little bush. Let's try a little bit of yellow ochre on this one. There we are. And I'm just going back and forth here between ochre and the yellow. And we'll just put some happy little things all up through here. There. All kinds of little leaves just happening. And I'll add a little more sap green now. I want these to be a little darker than I'm fixing to do now. And we'll go right back here in the background. Just lay a few of these on. Want these to be nice and loose and airy. There they go. Isn't that fantastic that you can put all these leaves and all these little things happening in the trees in just a matter of minutes? And if you're painting along with us at home, by now you should begin being quite happy about what's happening here. Okay, now then, let's take a little more of the Van Dyke brown and begin figuring out what we're going to build here. Just sort of let this happen. This is just straight Van Dyke brown. Maybe we'll have some land back in here. And maybe there's some over here somewhere. This is your world. So create land or bushes or trees or whatever, wherever you want them. Now we'll take a clean brush and grab the bottom here and pull straight down. Just pull it down. But it's important that it comes straight down. You don't want to do this at an angle. There. And if you don't get quite enough color, you can add a little bit to your brush. There. And just pull it down. Very gently go across just to give it a watery feel. It's very easy to destroy all these nice little lines that you have in there. Now I think we'll take a 1-inch brush, put a little bit of magic white on it, and I'll go into some cad yellow and yellow ochre. Just sort of mix them together on the brush. And we'll slip back in here and put some happy little bushes growing right in here. All kinds of little leaves and things happening. There we go. I thought today we'd use a fan brush some. Fan brush can be your best friend. And we'll still use the same colors. And we'll begin working down the hill here. And automatically your brush is picking up this dark color that's underneath. And you want this back here to be very subdued, very quiet, soft, in the shadows. Okay, we'll take a little bit of the white mixed with a little tiny bit of burnt umber. And let's put a few little highlights here. Maybe there's a little sunlight hitting right along in here. There we go. And we'll give him just a little touch. And then we'll take our fan brush and begin building all these little soft grassy areas back in there. Very soft. already we're beginning to create a very quiet little puddle somewhere out in the woods. Now, a little bit of magic white, and we'll mix at least a little touch of Van Dyke brown with it, just to dull it down some. Don't want it to be too bright. And we'll begin putting some little water lines in here. There. Okay. Maybe we'll bring this a little bit more forward. Maybe right like that. Just make another little projection out there. Okay, but each time you add one of these little projections, give him some reflections by just pulling a little bit of the color down. Okay, and we'll put a tiny bit of highlight on there. Use our almighty fan brush, and I'm going to add a touch of magic white, just to thin it a little bit. A little more sap green. I want it to start getting a little darker as it's getting closer to us here. There. And let this go with the lay of the land. Always follow the lay of the land. Maybe a little green over in this side too. And we can bring out another little projection here if we wanted to. Okay, once again though, after you bring your little projection out, he needs his own personal little reflection. Okay, now we can lay just a tiny bit of highlight on there just to make it look like dirt and stones and all the little things that happen in the woods. And let's take just a tiny bit here of yellow ochre, and I put a little bit of alizarin crimson with it. There, look at that. Just let this sort of disappear back here. Just to give an indication of something there, but it's really very quiet, subdued. Okay. I think it's time we built an almighty tree. I'm going to mix burn umber and Van Dyke brown together. And let's put a couple of beautiful big birch trees right up through here. There they go. We'll put the dark on first. Just straight Van Dyke brown and burn umber. Just let it come right off your knife. And just to keep him from getting lonely here, we'll give him another friend. And just mix these two browns together, but don't overmix them. Just put them together and leave them alone, so when you put the highlight on here, it'll pick up both colors. There. Okay. Now let's take a little bit of titanium white. Maybe we'll make these trees really stand out. Touch, pull it around, around, around. Just give it a little pop, like so. Oh, look at that. Look at all that bark. Okay. And these trees need a few little limbs on them too. The bigger ones here we'll just do with a knife. There we go. Yeah, we'll put one over here. Maybe there's one here. And we'll take a little more of the white and put a little highlight on the limbs. There. Now then, let's add a few little delicate limbs out here. just here and there. Just to give all these nice little leaves something to hang on. Maybe there's one that comes right down through here. Okay. Now, I'm still using the same old dirty brush that I've used all the way through here without washing. I'm going to add a little more magic white because we want this paint to be thinner. Take a little bit of crimson. Oh, look at there. We'll make sort of a bright little color here. And now we'll just lay some leaves out here. Just let them float around. Very quiet, soft. And don't kill all your background with them. Leave them loose and airy. Look at that. Just let them play and have fun. Put some up in here. Let your imagination be your guide now, just wherever you think they should be. I think sometimes we work too hard at painting. Painting should always be fun. Should make you happy. That's when you're truly an artist. For so many years, painting had got to where it wasn't fun anymore. It became work. Until I had the opportunity to study with Bill and learn this fantastic technique. And he made it fun again for me. A little waterline into here. This is just the magic white with a tiny bit of Van Dyke brown in it to dull it. Let some of these little things just happen. You know, when we do these paintings, we have a general idea of what we're going to do, but other than that, they're really not planned. We learn to work with what happens. And when you're at home, don't worry about following exactly what we have here. Let things happen and use what happens and create your own masterpieces. Don't just try to copy what we're doing. And you can do it. Oh, let's get brave. How's that? We'll just put some brown in here. This is Van Dyke brown with a little bit of umber in it. And really push this into the canvas. All we're looking for here is a nice dark value. Just really push it into the material. There we go. And you know, the colors that we have here, if you're using a different brand of paint, you'll find slight variations, but that's all right. Once again, this is your world, so whatever color you want. We're really just trying to show you the technique. The big thing you're looking for, though, is a paint that's very firm. We get so many cards and letters from people who have run into problems, and normally that's what it is. The paint is too thin. In some techniques, you need a very thin paint. In this, you need something that's very strong. Okay, let's go back to the old fan brush here, and we'll take some yellow, and I'm just beginning to have a mixture of color down here. It's really hard to tell you exactly what it is. It's yellow ochre, a little bit of crimson in it, and it's whatever comes together. And let's begin laying some little grassy areas on top of this. Now your fan brush is beginning to pick up all the dark browns here. Don't want to kill all the dark browns. You'll lose this beautiful darkness in the front of the painting. Let's do take a little tiny bit of Prussian blue and white and a little brown. There. Let's just give the indication there's some little stones or something here. Just sort of lay them in at random, then we'll cover up whatever we don't want. There we go. Now begin bringing your grassy areas right on down here, leaving some of these little things you just made show. Don't cover them all up. There. All right, now we're beginning to have something here. Now, if you practice this little painting, it's something you can do very, very quickly. It's very effective, very nice and warm. And it's a super little painting to give to a relative or a friend as a gift, because everybody likes these type of paintings. There we go. And also, you know, if you're interested, it'll put a happy buck in your pocket if you want to sell a painting once in a while. Of course, we're not interested in those monetary gains, I know. Okay, we just begin filling all this in here. And right down through here. Isn't that something? I like these little paintings. A little dark up in here. I want to just increase the amount of dark right back here so the shadows are deeper. Okay. Now with the knife, just a clean knife, I'm going to scrape a few little trunks here and there, little stems, just here and there. Not too many. Okay, here I want a little color, so I put a little brown on the knife. There we go. Okay, now we need to, these little birch trees here need something on their foots. They're sort of ragged hanging out here, so let's just put some color right underneath it so it just ends the tree. And then a little shadow behind it. Got to have a little shadow here. Like so. All these little things happening back in the woods. Okay, now we can put a few little stems here and there. I'm using just a liner brush with a little bit of the Van Dyke brown and a thin oil on the brush. Okay, just a nice thin oil. Bring that brush to a very sharp point. And we can add in a few more little things here and there, just to create a little more distance in here. Like so. Oh, maybe there's an old limb that's hanging here. There he is. Put him some little arms out here. There we go. He sort of fell over. He's a little tired. Okay. Just here and there with these. You always have all these little sticks and stuff out here in the woods. Okay, now, maybe you want to get a little bit crazy. And we take the almighty palette knife here, and let's do this. And just lay in a little tree right here in the foreground. There he is. Okay. Almighty tree. And I'll take just a tiny bit of the crimson here. Just highlight this side. Just a little bit, just a sparkling a little. And maybe there's a little reflected light over here. I'll use just a tiny bit of blue, just to show indication of reflected light. Then back to the brown, and we'll build him up. Make it thick. And when this thing dries, you can feel the bark on this tree. And all I'm doing is touching and pulling. Touching and pulling. And let's give him a little arm here. There we go. Put some little branches going every which way. There. And a little more of the crimson underneath here, just to show a little light. And we're sort of filling in the top of this composition, just filling it in, leaving the bottom part open. Okay, let's put some happy little leaves on here real quick. I'll use some more of the magic white and a little bit of yellow. And we'll just put some indications. Most of these leaves are off the canvas, but just a few here and there, like so. Just to give the impression that there's leaves going all the way over. And I think that pretty well gives us a little painting that we can be very happy with. Put a little grass right down in here. And I think we're ready to sign this almighty painting. So I'll use a little bit of the red and a little thin oil. And let's drop a little signature on here. Okay. Now, next week we'll be doing a black canvas. So have your canvas ready. You can purchase one at your local art store or paint your own with a flat back acrylic. Until then, from all of us here, happy painting.